everybody. You can catch me live this weekend in Rosemont. That's outside of Chicago. It's like a white suburb of Chicago. Rosemont, Illinois, this weekend, August 8th and 9th. Then Tampa, Florida, at Side Splitters Comedy Club, August 15th and 16th. That's the weekend after. Then Poughkeepsie, the weekend after that, Poughkeepsie, New York, August 22nd, 23rd. And then Pottstown, PA, at Soul Joe's, August 30th. And then Miami, September 11th through the 13th. Bakersfield, California, October 3rd and 4th. Toronto, October 18th. Tulsa, October 24th and 25th. Bozeman, Montana, and so on in November. YannisPappasComedy.com for tickets. Patreon.com/Yannis Pappas Hour for the weekly bonus episode. If you like this show and you want to support it and watch it continue. But for what? But for what? But for what? Okay? I don't know. What am I doing now? I'm doing some cringe thing where I'm like trying to be performative. I'm just cringe right now. Like, I'm sorry, okay? I'm having anxiety. I'm definitely doing EMDR, and I'm putting my mental health first. I'm taking my magnesium. I am absolutely taking zinc, B12, whatever I can. I'm being told about skin cancer, but then also I'm being told that I just need sunshine in the morning, 24 hours a day. I got to take care of my health, my wealth. I'm grinding on the side. I'm absolutely paying attention to what's happening in Gaza, and it's really. It's interrupting my sleep. I just started DMing this girl. I'm scared she screenshotted it. I don't know what she's going to do with it. I think I came off wrong. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm $80,000 in debt from college, okay? I went to Skidmore. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I was definitely studying humanities. My parents, I'm at their house, but I also have a roommate, but sometimes my roommate is cringe, so I leave because it's a cringe fest. I can't deal with it. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? I'm listening to this song on repeat on my Echo. ChatGPT has been telling me that I really can improve my lifestyle by regular creatine intake, and also that my inner child needs to be chill. Okay? We're not going out. It's too much money. Cringe that, cringe that. Alcohol's bad for your liver. Cringe that, cringe that. I am going to microdose. I'm going to microdose LSD, not to get high, just to vibe and chill in the basement on a Big Lebowski night. We're doing a retro Big Lebowski night, and whatever. I'm being so fucking cringe right now. I'm being so cringe. I just don't want to come off like preachy or authoritarian or like I'm an outsider preaching in. I get it. You know, I'm one of you. You're one of me. We're all one. I got that. I learned that on a trip the other night when I was microdosing on shrooms just to nurture my inner child. But I'm on my healing journey. and I'm definitely working on my OCD, my anxiety, my depression, my schizoid personality, my bipolarity too. And I am just trying to be, I'm trying to yacht. I'm trying to do it. MLM, SMB, NRMB, LN, LNT, RNCT. QUQ. Crips, craps, crips, craps. That was, I'm not a boomer. What are we, Gen Z? Gen X. Gen X, it's only one letter away for Gen Z. Why did the millennials slip into the middle? I really am trying to understand Gen Z. I've been doing a deep dive on Gen Z like I'm Alex Tocqueville writing about democracy. Now, if I'm Gen Z, I don't know who that is, but it's a couple of finger taps away to find out who that is, and then you got it. And then you're an expert. You got it. All you got to know is who he was and what he did. Alex Tocqueville was a French guy. He was a French guy that came to America and was like, you know what? This is what America is. As an outsider, he witnessed it. Like when I would go to Norway or something to do stand-up, I would notice a couple of foibles in my first 10 minutes of the set. Stand-up is cringe. Unless I'm up there going like I'm bombing, I know I'm bombing. You want me to be self-aware. You want me to be empathetic. And like you are, you're empathy. This generation is an oxymoron. They're empathetic, overly empathetic, but they're also sociopathic. They're nihilistic, and I get it. We dreamed. My grandparents dreamed. They worked hard, they dreamed. And they bought gold watches and they dreamed. I think my granddad and my grand uncle who owned a restaurant together, they bought a Cadillac and a gold watch, which I still have, so they could walk around and act like gentlemen, even though they were Greek peasants, former second-class citizens who had to pay a demi tax, who had to flee the Ottoman Empire so they didn't get their cornhole rubbed by a sultan. They had problems. No existentialist ennui. When you're having ennui, I want you to remember that means things are good. It means you're privileged enough to have anxiety. Anxiety. What's anxiety? Oh, your mind is going through the endless possibilities. It's being overwhelmed. Gen Z's overwhelmed. You know? Do you know how rare it was that I saw a knockout, someone get knocked out, or footage of someone getting shot or whatever? There was no doom scrolling. You only had your own imagination, and most of it was just caught up with looking at a Calvin Klein ad and spilling your milk into the middle and then not being able to open the pages later. It was a simpler time. Not saying it was better. And I'm not being cynical about Gen Z. I don't blame Gen Z. This is the circumstances that they're born into that they're probably not aware of, which is ironic because you like when people are aware. You're very aware of everything, but I don't know if Gen Z is aware of like what their circumstances are, okay? They're coming of age. Gen Z, who are they? Basically like 13 to 30, right? 28, 29 cusp. You know, if you're 29, you're like on the cusp. You're like, or like really like just missed millennial, or maybe you're like, I don't know, a young millennial, but you're, you know, these things are kind of like, technically it's like the late 90s you were born, right? Like 97, 98 to like 2012, like, whoa, right? So as soon as you're born, like 9/11 happens, but you're too young to really grok that. You know, then the financial crisis happens. You're really too young to grok that. But the most important and consistent thing about Gen Z that makes them the most unique generation that's ever been born, and that unique can be good, is that you grew up with instant access being a reality, not a future coming. I remember I used to make jokes about, you know, early 2000s about, you know, delivery apps and how convenient things are going to be, and what do we get? We get sushi, and we're all having anxiety because we have it too good, right? That was all what's coming. Oh, this is just starting. This is just starting. And now they just live in the malaise of like, oh, oh, why bother to do anything? I get it. Whoa, why go outside? You can simulate reality with a headset. And this isn't the outside anywhere looking at, I'm aware. I'm also got my headset on. It's a simulation. Like, oh, why message that girl? Like, ooh, it's like so many things could go wrong. And they're not wrong because they have lots of evidence of things going wrong. Even a message could go wrong. Cringe, 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 cringe alert, cringe alert. This guy asked out me and 4 of my girlfriends. Cringe alert. Private group. We're all talking about you. Fucking creep, creep alert, creep alert. And then you're just the creep. And that's just how it goes. They're having no sex. The statistics, I think, on the sex that they're having, like 30% of like Gen Zers are like have a boyfriend or girlfriend. They're spending supposedly no money on dating. What is a date now? Like, let's microdose and vibe? What is it? They don't go out. They don't have money. They're all dreaming about a side hustle or, you know, being a entrepreneur, but there's no businesses to fill. So the only option they have is to cut clips for podcasters or be sexual, get a following, a brand deal, so they can promote the brand that their friends pay with their parents' money. And their parents are running out of money because BlackRock or Blackstone or one of the fucking feel-good cloud companies is buying up all the real estate. Okay? They're having relationships with computers. They're not having relationships with each other. And so are we all. So I'm like not like pointing the finger. We're all dipping our toes into it. We're all dipping our toes in it. But you're growing up with it. And I mean, what is the dream on the horizon? When you're just being told, you turn on the news and imagine you're graduating college and COVID hits. You're excited about hitting the job market, and then COVID hits and wipes out diners. So if you wanted to be an actor or something, you can't even get a waiter job. And Mexicans are coming and taking all those jobs. And a lot of them are closing because COVID shut it down. And then as soon, right off the heels of COVID, you're going, oh, by the way, we might be going into World War III. We're as close as we've ever been. And you're going, wow, what's World War III? And you're going like, oh, it's nuclear annihilation. Then you got to Google that. You got to ask ChatGPT about mutually assured destruction. You got to find out what nuclear fallout is. And you can. You don't have to go to the library. You don't have to be interested. You don't have to like forego sports or girls in order to be a nerd. Everyone is a nerd / jock / gamer. There's plenty of time for it all. Multitask. Hello. By the way, why am I not podcasting while I'm checking my email? I will be talking to you, but I also want to, I just got to clean up my spam box. Oh my God, I've been hacked again. Their information is for sale. They know it too. They know it. That's the thing, is they know it. It's not like it's being done to them and they can just go, oh, hear no evil, see no evil. Oh, ignorance is bliss. They are aware. They're aware. They know it. They read articles about it. They watch, pundits, influencers talk about it. They're being sold constantly every time. It used to be you'd have to leave your house to get sold or turn on the TV to get sold. Now you just, you check your phone and you're being sold on something. Magnesium, creatine, sunshine, coffee with mushrooms in it. All these new variations of products are coming up because there is no job force. There's, you can sell things. You can start a company and sell things. You can invest in Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? I finally figured it out. You know how the millennials did wokeness in order to create jobs for themselves, to create a little wealth? I'm going to be a reporter. Who are we reporting on? Oh, a bunch of people who got niche followings that have people that care about them. And the outrage is directly proportionate to how many people care about them. So if you got five followers and you're grabbing titties, I'm not really interested. There's no outrage. And you go, well, there was no way for me to know about you. Yeah, if you were a good reporter, you'd find out. But it's not about being a good reporter. It's about attaching yourself to a bigger name so you could get some clout. Clout chasing. The millennials did that. They came into the job force and they said, we're going to create wokeness, which means if you're not in it, we're going to attack you and monetize it. It's going to be my job until I inevitably jump the shark and go too far and overhunt, and then I get ostracized because that's how the game works, right? I remember a good old guy like Seth Simon, His name was Seth Simon or Simons. He was going after white supremacist comedians, which I've never met one. I don't know one white supremacist comedian. Whatever they're saying is performative. I've never met one guy in private who was like, you know what? And I'm an insider. I've never met one. Like truly. I mean, I don't know what Nick DiPaolo's up to. He may be there. I don't know. But he may be the only I don't know. Maybe it was another kid, Anthony Camilla. He says some wild stuff. Maybe two, but I don't know either one of those guys at all. I've met them. Hellos once or twice. And now if there's a millennial out there going, let's see. Let's see if Yannis and Anthony Camilla. Can I get something cooking here? Can I create some content here? I'll just save you the time. The answer is no. I haven't. You won't find anything. There'll be no Yannis Pappas, Nick DiPaolo collabs. There'll be no. I wasn't even on it. Anthony Opie was a little before my day. Opie and Anthony. But those are about the only two that I can think of. But supposedly there was white supremacy was running rampant. Because Gavin McInnes was like at the stand a few times or something like that. But that's what the millennials did. They were like, there's no jobs. We all have liberal arts degrees. Nobody told us we got to go into coding, which now coding's gone. So, but at the time, if you were in coding and you were a millennial, you were in good, right? And then the smirky, Democrats are going, learn to code. And it's like, whoa. Now you got to learn the foot model. Now you have to learn the foot model. How does it feel? You got to learn a foot model. You got to learn how to grow food. You piece of garbage. Be careful. If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. And ultimately, we all live in glass houses because we're all healing and just microdosing to get in touch with and just guide our inner child, which we're aware of. I want a job, but if I get that job, there needs to be mental health breaks, but not like in the millennial way, which was more performative. They were like, I need time to scroll my phone. I need time. This is inhumane. Whereas Gen Z's like, no, dude, I'm going to go shoot up something. Okay. If I don't get I need the mental health break. Okay. The anxiety's crazy. I went on my phone and I'm watching war footage. There's war footage on there, and there's a international blackmail pedophilia ring that's come to light that is definitely true. This is stuff that just the blanket was over. We were all just under the blanket, but Gen Z's not under the blanket, and they can ask AI anything. AI will tell it to them. They know who Alex Tocqueville is in a second. If I brought up Alex Tocqueville to my friend group when I was in my early 20s or late 17, they would just go, huh? What? Yeah, dude, what? Huh? Pass the blunt. Like, just pass that. You're killing it. You're killing it, dude. You're killing it. But you're fucking Googling. They're living in the culmination of as far as I could see forward when I was, in my late 20s, early 30s. That's as far as I thought for. I was like, oh my God, delivery apps make it easy. We're at the end. That's what my joke's like. We're at the end. Now we're living in the end, and the end hasn't happened. So it's like, what do we do? That's how they feel. No struggle, can't pursue anything. What happens to a raisin in the sun, right? Gen Zs, their generation is a raisin in the sun. No dreams, no hope for anything to happen. AI's coming to take all their jobs. The computer will do it better. You can't even cut clips soon. If you have a real talent, nobody's paying attention. Broadway's dead. For now, maybe it'll come back. That's the hope. The hope is maybe we'll go backwards. That's it. Whenever I hear anyone have hope about anything, I can only use it. I can only speak from my experience in entertainment. People go, maybe it'll come back to the way it was. And you're going like, it's the first time in history where people are going like, maybe we'll go back to a worse, more inconvenient time where we had more purpose. You don't say anyone in the 50s going, God, I miss those 20s with those chemical bombs. I miss World War I times. God, I miss when I used to have to work 24 hours at the factory. Now, like the Gen Z's going, put me in a factory, dude. I want to stop thinking. Put me on the line, give me a livable wage, and create some suburbs for middle class. I'll take it. I just don't want to think so much. It's the only era where I've noticed people dream about things going back to a worse time when we had less technology, less medical technology, less mental health awareness and knowledge, less convenience, entertainment, democratization, free speech. People just go, let's go back to that time. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody's going like there's a better place to go because we're at the peak freedom. How do I know we're at the peak freedom? There was a black famous Nazi. That's how I know we're at the peak freedom. I open my internet and I see people having plenty of time on their hands to yell about Sydney Sweeney's jeans. So I know people got a lot of time. And if you have a lot of time, that obviously means you have a lot of freedom. Because people who aren't free don't have time. That's the definition of not being free. You don't have time. You don't have time to yourself to do what you want. The thing is, the ironic thing is we got all this freedom and nobody knows what to do with it. Nobody knows what to do with it, so they're just screaming and they're looking for complaints because we haven't evolved past the negativity bias, which I know Gen Z is aware of. They just haven't figured out how to do it, but they're trying one microdose at a time. One walk in the sunset, one mushroom coffee at a time. We're going to figure it out. But they have given up. I see the look in their face where it's not human connection anymore. They're more connected to artificial, digital platforms. It's one-sided conversation. They're either listening or talking. They're either making content and talking out into the ether, or they're being spoken to from the ether, the digital wasteland of content. But they're not like hanging out. Clubs are closing, bars, you know, and it's because they don't have money. They don't have money to spend. Prices going up. Rent's still high. And the dream is gone. There was such a dream in the early 2000s. Oh, kids from all over the suburbs just flocked to the city with dreams. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be an artist. And my dreams are going to come true. And now it's just like, yeah, you got a year before AI is doing that job. So they're just in a holding pattern. They're in a holding pattern. The things that they will find to do will be shooting. You can always shoot. That's what I'm scared of. Because you do you look at the anatomy, you do the mathematical equation, helplessness, nothing to look forward to, plus hyper-awareness, plus sobriety and no fun, plus fear of consequences. That's a raisin in the sun, my friend. That's a raisin in the sun. They're festering. They're festering right now. And when they don't become, Jeffrey Dupree, whatever his name is. Some of these names have you ever heard of some of these guys? I don't even know who they're watching. But I just, Sarah Squirm? Have you ever heard of Sarah Squirm? How about Ziwe? Z-I-W-E. I know Bo Burnham. I know Trevor Wallace. I know Matt Rife. I remember Jabuki. Sarah Squirm? I don't know. I don't know. What do you do when everything's been done? We either graduate into this transhumanist kind of tech world where we're able to act out our darkest fantasies and our biggest dreams in a simulation, like a Matrix type of dystopia, where the only thing that is left to do is cosplay, but it feels real, your deepest, darkest fantasies. So you become the CEO and you go through the struggles in a simulation, right? Because you play a game. Because the game here is rigged. There's nowhere to go. Unless you want to be an athlete, or something. But maybe because your mediocre dream can't come true, you can't become middle management anymore. You can't become a copywriter anymore. You can't get a pretty good job that's a portion of your dream. There's people who You know, I'm an artist, but you end up taking a art director job, copywriter job. You're good with people, but instead of being a cult leader, you end up being a marketing director. But maybe they create these simulations. Maybe AI creates these simulations where everyone works in the simulation the way they used to in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And what they do in their actual life is just sit and drink, thank God, Coca-Cola with cane sugar. Boy, did we fix the health problem. Because that's been fixed. They just sit and they throw on their VRs or they tap into their mental chip and they just we start living in the infinite space of our brains and recreate those struggles. And it's infinite because, hey, you want to go, I want to know what it's like to become an actress on another planet. AI creates that. Or it goes, I want to know what it's like to grow up and become an NBA player. You have to live in the simulation, practice every day, and maybe that's where struggle reemerges and in quotation marks exists, because there'll be no struggle here. They're editing out Down syndrome. What is the human condition going to be? What are you going to make a movie about if people aren't interacting? If they're not cheating on their spouses, if they're not DMing each other, if they're not having a cause, right? Or whatever. What's the story going to be? Guys, I want to tell you about HIMS. 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 HIMS is great. It is great when it comes to performance. They've got you covered. Take control of your ED with personalized treatments made with proven ingredients prescribed by licensed providers, 100% online. ED, which is erectile dysfunction, is more common than you think and simpler to treat than ever. Through HIMS, you can connect online with a licensed provider to access personalized ED treatment options discreetly and on your terms. Okay? They got hard mints. They got Sex RX Plus Climax Control. You know, these are what you call sex enhancers. HIMS offers access to ED treatment options ranging from hard mints to trusted generics that cost 95% less than brand names if prescribed. Shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. HIMS brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments and puts your goals first. This isn't a one-size-fits-all, Jesse. It's personalized. You don't have to wait in a waiting room. No doctors. Your health and goals come first with real medical providers, making sure you get what you need as far as results go. So that's it. Go in there. It's 100% online to get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more. Visit hims.com/Yannis. That's hims.com/Yannis for your free online visit. hims.com/Yannis. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Every story now I can see too, every movie, is about some deep, dark desire. Because that is the final frontier. The stuff that we hid, our shadow, the Jungian shadow, the things we hide behind the mask in order to live in a society, which we don't have to live in anymore. So now you can unleash your shadow. You want a chick with a dick? Marry one in a simulation. Nobody will judge you. You want to be a mass murderer because your dad was an alcoholic and lied to you? Do it in the simulation. You can play real games. And what I mean by real games is that they feel real. You want to be a soccer mom, but your ovaries got taken out because of the radiation from your phone? Have babies in the simulation. You always wanted to be an alcoholic, but you were too scared. Do it in the simulation. You always wanted to know what it felt like to eat another guy's penis. You know? We've gotten closer and closer. Right? Remember that cop that was fantasizing about eating people? Do it in the simulation. Go live in the simulation. We're headed there because that is the only thing that's left. And that will create and spawn new stories in the human condition. We're in the simulation. It'll be like Gen Z is right now. Like I'm aware, but I'm aware of being aware. But I'm also aware of being aware of being aware. Like this endless mirror game where the reflection just goes to infinity. I'm aware, I'm aware, I'm aware, I'm aware, I'm aware. And they're just being like, I'm cringe because I'm so aware. Because if you're not aware, you're having fun, you're in the moment. So if you're aware, you're living in your brain. So what's the only place that's going to take us out of this solitude in the brain? Is full-blown, unfettered fucking simulation reality games where your brain can't tell the difference. And that gives me hope. Not going to Mars. I don't see how Mars is going to work. I don't see how intergalactic travel is going to work. I just think we can figure out how to hack our brains and feel like we live forever, even if we live the normal lifespan of a human. But you're in a simulation where the game is your mind gets tricked that you're a god and you live forever, and you feel that way for 40 years. Then the lights go out. You know, you got to reimagine what it's going to be human. We're not all just going to sit around and meditate on a rock. You know, I always really admired like the simplicity and piety of Buddhist monks, but I also always wondered, like, the fuck's the point? So yeah, you feel great every day or whatever because you're in the moment, but your moment sucks. You ever in a really terrible moment and people always say, hey, be in the moment, be in the moment. And then you try it and you're like, yeah, but this moment sucks. I'm sitting on a bus. And you're like, okay, practice gratitude. And there's somebody with a dirty ass sitting next to you on the bus. They didn't wipe too well. They don't have a bidet. So they had a real nasty shit. And it's a hot, sunny day. And their ass funk that's skidded their underwear is marrying itself to the faux plastic of the bus seat. And you're catching a whiff of it, and the air conditioner's not working, and you're sitting in traffic, and you're on a bus, and then you go, remember gratitude, remember to ground yourself in the moment, and then you try it for a second, and you ground yourself in the moment, and the more you ground yourself in the moment, the more aware you become of how shitty this moment is. So then you go, fuck it, and you throw on your headphones, and you go into another moment. Distraction. Or if you don't have headphones, you go back to a memory of a nice fuck you had in high school, and it's much more pleasant than grounding yourself in the moment. Sometimes I don't think being in the moment is the right thing. I think sometimes the moment sucks so bad that it's better to go someplace else, right? If you're getting assaulted and beaten up by 6 fucking people on the street, you don't want to go, I just want to be here for this. You know all those people who talk about when they get sexually assaulted, they like their brain, like they fly up and they're looking down at themselves. Yeah, that's the right move. I know that's like the ground zero for trauma, but that's the right move. You don't want to be like, make sure you're present with this. Make sure you're present with this. Make sure you're present for this violent assault. I want to be here. All that exists in the moment. Deity is in the moment. The infinite is in the moment. Sometimes you want to escape into your brain. So we got to reimagine, like they have to be the generation that's got to like think outside the box. And, you know, it's like the great John Steinbeck said, the human spirit, the thing that's always attacked and never destroyed, they will figure it out. When you see the grass grow between the cracks of concrete, the human spirit will figure it out. Gen Z's got to figure it out. They're the generation that, because they're just being told, like, this is what's best. What's best is we're going to Mars. What's best is if we keep going with this AI stuff. Is it? You have to tell us. You're the ones who are going to have to figure it out. I'm like, this is best. The social media greed machine is going, look, you having a 3-second attention span is best. That's what's best. That's what's best. Manufacturing outrage to promote products with fake outrage about jeans and dildos getting thrown on courts is the way we're going to do advertising now to get everyone all upset. That's what's best. And for a generation that's really hyper aware, sometimes I marvel at how gullible you can be. Do you really think that was organic? That fucking, they didn't think about that jean commercial causing controversy and how good that'll be? I know some of you are aware, but most of you are just like the rest of us, buying, eating it up. Fucking Nazi, I can't wear those jeans. You're going to wear those jeans. Only Nazis wear those jeans. Black girls wear other jeans. We can't wear those jeans because of Hitler. We can't wear those jeans because of Hitler. Now they're digging into her social media past and she shot some guns. They're going, oh, now I definitely can't wear those jeans. She voted Republican. I can't wear Republican jeans. How funny is that nobody's even looking to see if the jeans look good? It's all about whether you can wear them based on your political position. What do the jeans represent? We're so far into the bullshit. And there was always a level of bullshit, right? It was like, you know, you look at a McDonald's ad, yeah, the burger is shellacked and it doesn't look like that, right? But then you go there. But now we're like living in the bullshit. We're like fully living. We're all part of the marketing campaign is my point. That's what I'm trying to say. We're all part of the marketing. You know what I'm saying? It's like the marketing campaign came at us. It manipulated us, but we were still over here. We weren't part of the marketing campaign. Now we're like in the market. We're like unwittingly unconsciously part of the marketing campaign. Because somebody out there is going like, let's get people pissed off and say this. We predict they're going to do this. In this climate, they'll do this. And then they'll be warring and everyone will be talking about American Eagle, which is a company nobody talked about for the last 40 years. Brilliant marketing. This is some fucking psychopathic demon marketer who's obviously Gen Z, who's thinking outside the box. Now we need some other people to think outside the box as well. Start your own war. Start a genocide. Get people talking about it. Doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. It's about being hot. It's about getting your name out there. Don't let Israel and fucking Palestine steal all the shine. You go out there and create your own genocide. Think outside the box. Go out there. Start a massacre. Go claim some land. Just show up. Show up in Greenland and say, this is my land. Start shooting. Film it. We're all part of the show in a way that is cringe. We're all part of the show. It used to be, all the world's a stage and everyone plays their parts. What did Shakespeare say? Is that Shakespeare? I think it's Shakespeare. And that was more of an unconscious thing. Now it's like fully conscious. Now it's like, okay, make sure we're at this party. We're doing microdosing. It's a theme night, retro. Starsky and Hutch, we discovered it. We're all watching Starsky and Hutch. We're microdosing. The vibes are good. Everyone is respecting gender norms. Nobody's crossing lines. Everyone's respecting the non-binary blase of this issue, of this moment. Just want to, did it happen? If we didn't say it, it happened. And then you have the people doing the equal but opposite reaction going, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. It's like, okay, good. Be out of here. Be out of here. Oh, you're off social media completely. You don't check anything. Good. I'm going to give you my Nancy Pelosi clap. Good for you. Perhaps that means you overindulged in it too much. And you're claiming to be a hero, but really what you're saying is you can't control yourself Because if you were able to control yourself, you'd be able to get on Twitter once in a while and get in your fake account and call someone a faggot like the rest of us. You're better than us. You're completely off social media. Oh, yeah, what are you going back to the land? What are you going to do? Start eating raw liver, which you learned about on the internet in the first place? What are you going to do? Grow your own food? Have conversations? Stare at a wall like Robert E. Lee used to do on weeknights? What are you going to live by candlelight? What are you going to bring back coal? You're so fucking cool. What are you going to fish? You're just going to fish and eat your own fucking meat? Which I also see content about. Ooh, you're so off the grid. Because you ever notice how people can't wait to tell you that either? I'm so off the grid. How about a nice medium? How about a nice check-in? You could still do your email. You could still, how about 10 minutes of doom scrolling? Can we find the sweet spot? We ain't going backwards, so just accept it. There's a lot of good that comes with this too. Okay, there's a lot of good that comes with this too. I think one of the things that's good about this, and it started with 9/11, right? Because obviously you got, there's grifters who eventually jump the shark. So all you got to do is be entertained by the grifters and just watch them eventually jump the shark, okay? Because in my opinion, I'm making a prediction, and I hope I'm not wrong. But in my prediction, I'm going to say that Brigitte Macron is a woman. I think so. I think it's been a very entertaining thing. I'm more convinced Michelle's a man because here's the deal, okay? Here's the deal. Barack Obama did say he enjoyed having sex with men in his imagination, and Michelle is big, okay? I don't have any evidence. They do have kids, but, they are shape-shifting reptiles, so maybe they were born in a different way with eggs. I don't know. But she's just big. She's tall. So usually women are not that tall. So that's the only evidence I have. And also she's not like dainty, feminine looking in the facial area. So if you're doing the eye test for me, I would be less shocked if Michelle was trans, even though there's zero evidence for that, than Macron. You ever see Macron's wife? She's like a little toothpick. They got one video of her sitting like this with the legs out, and they're like, she's a man. There's another picture of her brother where she looks like her brother, and then her brother is in no pictures with her, but neither are her sisters, because France has very strict laws about privacy, and you could even get in trouble for filming someone without their consent, and they're just private citizens and they don't want to be in the limelight. But we're American, and we can't fathom how someone wouldn't want to be in the limelight. And that's essentially what I think this is about, is this is a class of cultures. And I'll give you an example. Do you remember when Petit Vaugeois, whatever his fucking name was, walked across the Twin Towers, right? And there was a documentary about that guy, Philippe Petit, I think his name was, or Petit Philippe. And he said, someone asked him, like one of the cops was like, hey, man, why are you doing this? Like, what's the point of this? Why are you doing this, Philippe Petit? Did I get the name right? Yeah, Philippe Petit, why are you doing this? And he had one of the best answers. It stuck with me. And he goes, why? He goes, why? Such an American question. He goes, did you see it? It's a different culture. They don't have that thing we have here where we're shameless fame whores. So when we go, how come there's no pictures of her brother? It's like, hey, maybe her brother doesn't want the spotlight. Maybe her brother isn't crazy about the fact that his sister started an affair with a 14, 15-year-old kid in school. Maybe they don't hang out. There's not that many pictures of me and my brother either. But they always focus on the brother, but she also has sisters, and there's no pictures with the sisters. But nobody suspects the sisters are fucking dead, and her latest theory is, okay, so the brother, Jean whatever, died and gave his brother, no, wait, it's hard for me to catch up, but I think it was the sister died and gave, or the mother, someone died and gave him the identity so he could live out his dream as a woman. And that was Candace Owens' last theory. That was last week or something. She changed a little bit. But what I think is happening here is there was intrigue about her story because this is a very unorthodox story about a guy who met this chick. And I think her daughter was his classmate. And then they start an affair, and then they get married, and she's like 30 years older or 29 years older. Although it happens the other way all the time. I mean, is their age different, any different from Melania and Trump? Probably similar, right? The only difference is that she was the teacher, right? So, and then I think we have in our consciousness the Michelle thing, where everyone's calling her Big Mike. So we got this trans thing going on and the trans phenomenon. And then there's this picture of the brother. It all starts with this picture of the brother that really, they do have the same face. But, you know, they're siblings. So it all the suspicion goes from the fact that there's no pictures of them together and that they have the same face. That may be AI generated because the other picture is old. It's a black and white photo. And they go, this is our evidence. And then they go, there's no information, there's no public information about this guy. But then reputable journalists, if you want to believe, we're all skeptical of everyone, so you have to throw that into there. But all these different media outlets went and they actually talked to this guy, and this guy made a statement. His family owns some chocolate factory or whatever, and he says, no, I'm just, you know, I don't want photos and shit. I don't want people to know what I don't want them following me around. I don't want them to know. And then her classmates, and they took the official records, birth records. So she's had kids, she's been married. So supposedly it's all beeswax. And the reason why they're suing is because we have free speech rules, but the thing that you can prove is if you sent information to the person saying they're wrong and then they continue, then you got grounds for a lawsuit. Because they can always claim, I really believed she was a woman, but they go, we sent you this stuff and you ignored it. So the ruling on the other journalists was that, I think maybe I was quoting the French law. The ruling on the other journalists was that it was dismissed because they didn't prove that they knew better and continued. They really believed that they were onto something. And so they were like, okay, we'll just dismiss it or something like that. So it didn't really mean that they were right. Now, this could just be me believing the mainstream. Could be that. I'm not going to say it couldn't be that, but I doubt it. Just by the eye test, and that's why I'm coming back to my original premise. The eye test. I never looked at her and went, that's a man. But in your defense, the ones out there who believe that she is a man, I have seen a lot of trans women who I didn't think were men either, because they're hot as hell. The technology is incredible now. And the only way you could know is by actually looking at the horn, which is what they're demanding of Bridget McCrone, is they want to see a genuine Dumbo flap. They want to see a real flesh Dumbo flap. They want to see a lips. And they want to be able to see that they're real. It's the only thing that's going to prove this, is show it to us. So, everyone's just skeptical of everything. Nobody knows what's real. You know what happened in Athens, right? When it went from kings or whatever, democracy started. It was a direct democracy. And that's why we don't have direct democracy. That's why republic is the best we could do. Because I think what we learned from Athens is when you do direct democracy, you give everyone a voice, everyone has power, and then debate, and then certainty is up for debate. And then you have these people who are good talkers who come around, and that's where sophistry was coined. Because it's like, we're going to teach you how to win arguments. It's not about the truth. It's about winning arguments for your own fame, for your own. I'm going to fucking be somebody. I'm going to gather people around with my oratory skills. And so Athens had direct democracy, and it was kind of part of its downfall. right? Democracy is a good idea, rule for the people. And then we did the republic where it's like, all right, we got representatives, they're elected, but they, kind of, I don't know, they're really oligarchs and they're a little more educated. They're like, you can't have the people rule. Not everyone can have the say. So we'll have one person represent the people and he's got to vote in our interest. It's the best you can fucking do because there's flaws to everything. But I equate Athens in antiquities, direct democracy, to the advent of the internet. The internet democratized information. It democratized power. It decentralized power. And what happens in both cases is the cultural norm becomes debate. Everything's debate now. Or the way I put it succinctly and beautifully in a tweet that is grammar checked, when I had the thought, was just like in Athens when it became a direct democracy, the internet decentralized power. This inevitably led to truth becoming contested when power democratized. When power democratized, certainty collapses and sophists rise. And when sophists rise, debate becomes the dominant mode of culture. Lets you know that the writing brain is different than the speaking brain. My speaking brain is a little less sophisticated. So this is what Gen Z's growing up in. Truth is up for grabs. Reality is a suggestion. There's nothing on the horizon. Can you imagine the only future hope is interplanetary travel? Or like more awareness? Awareness is not always a good thing, and I think I proved that with my example of bad moments. Sometimes you want to be a little less aware. The people who are the most aware go crazy. You don't want to be aware of too much. Awareness it could lead to peace, but it certainly doesn't lead to happiness. You know what leads to happiness? Fucking unawareness. Bliss. You don't want to know. You're getting blown by a prostitute. You don't want to know that she was sex trafficked as a war refugee from Georgia. Not Georgia, the state, the country. It's a dark example, but Gen Z likes dark humor because their fucking palate is worn down. They're jaded. They've seen it all. What are you going to do? Fall down a flight of stairs for Gen Z? They just watched a fucking baby die. They just watched a gang shooting on CCTV. So I'm giving them a dark example because this episode is dedicated to Gen Z. I hope it finds you. And that's right. You don't want to ruin getting blown by a prostitute by being aware how she was trafficked there by international fucking illegal, organized crime, Montenegrin gangs who trafficked her to the United States in Samsung boxes because her dad and her brothers are dead because of some civil war. Right? You don't want to be getting blown by some Druze refugee who was trafficked here by a Serbian underworld crime ring because her whole family was killed by the Mujahideen. Right? You don't want to know that. You want to enjoy the blowjob. It's a dark example. You don't want to know. You don't want to know that the girl that you fell in love with, who claims her name is Sally, is really an Armenian refugee whose family was killed by Israel-funded Azerbaijan militias in order for Israel to play power games through proxies to contain Iran. You don't want to know that she's going under a fake name and has no papers and is using you to immigrate to this country because all the male heirs of her family were killed by Israeli drones used by Azerbaijan fighters. Are they Azerbaijani? That's too aware, man. You're too aware. Sometimes you're too aware. Sometimes you want to just shut it off and lick each other's genitals and fucking throw on an Adam Sandler movie. Want to give a shout out to forthefree.art, music in Hawaii. Check out for local bands, music. Go look at the site, forthefree.art. It's music in Hawaii, my friends. Also, IndigoLabsAgency.com, social media managing, digital marketing. I've worked with them, Nate Linder. IndigoLabsAgency.com, marketing solutions backed by data and proven by impact, my friends. Rebels-Raiders.com. I don't know what's up there. I'll just be honest. There's goat shirts and there's all types of fucking military gear. So go check out rebels-raiders.com. Cool site. Cool. It's a very cool site. Rebels-raiders.com. PCB Tech Art made this sign. You can also get a nice phone chart. You should buy it. You should just go buy it to support them and to be a fan of the Yannis Pappas Hour. Go get the Power Nest, which is a phone charger for your car, and the Power Sphere to make your car smell good. They'll also make you whatever design you want. Yannis 10 at checkout for a 10% discount. PCB Tech Art.